Okay guys, so I'm back with another video, and this is a big one because I have, after nearly 2 years, stopped closing and left EasyGrow and stopped closing for Charlie Morgan. So really short background guys, for anyone who hasn't seen any of my past videos, I started my agency journey 3 years ago. I had an agency. I bought EasyGrow when I moved over to Berlin, did the big move, invested all the money I had into EasyGrow essentially. Within EasyGrow, kind of met Charlie. He offered me a closing role, and that was 2 years ago. And I was the second longest serving closer at EasyGrow. I have seen 10 plus guys come and go due to performance and the competition. And I was pretty good at my job, I think, and closed, $2 million worth of deals for that company and gained a lot of experience. But recently, at the start of March, I decided it was going to be my last month and had a kind of mutual conversation because I was kind of checked out. So my month's performance was kind of down, but it was time for me to move on. And the reason is because I started to see things a little bit differently than how I saw them when I first joined. Now, I'm not going to sit here and if this is a video of someone wanting to see if EasyGrow is a scam or if I'm going to shit on Charlie and the team there, that is absolutely not what I'm going to do. It was probably the greatest experience and greatest opportunity that I've ever had in my life to date. And it's put me on a great path moving forward to do some great things with myself and my career, I guess. So that's all, I'm going to say about that. But I definitely have started to see the coaching space, the world, the online entrepreneur space a little bit differently, being on the front line, taking the calls, having the conversations. So I got some notes here, but basically what I'm going to talk about today is, why I left, my reasons behind that, some one-on-one success I've had with a one-on-one client recently, and then sort of my vision and what I would like to see myself do to actually give back and help the person that I was 2.5, 3 years ago. Because I really remember how it feels and how it is to be that person. And I know how hard it can be to be struggling, to be spending hours on YouTube, to be contemplating investing in a high ticket course and really wanting to succeed for the right reasons, it's just not knowing how. And I have a vision or an idea, which I think might be able to make a difference in the lives of other people, which is why I started this channel. But let's just kind of talk about why I left. It all kind of ties into everything. Now, in the last 2 years at EasyGrow, I got quite good at closing deals and selling people into the program. Now, when you're on these calls with these people, they're telling you emotional things about their lives, about themselves, and we're trained and have the skills to cause some pain and some discomfort in these individuals. And you get them into the program, whether it's for the full amount or on a payment plan. Typically, it's as much money as they have left. I'm not going to sit here and say that I was letting people in for a smaller amount. I was trying to get as much money up front because it gives me the most commission. And it was going good, and it was working, and I was feeling good about what I was doing, and definitely people get results. But, there was also a lot of people that really, really needed this service that could not afford it. And they want to do good by themselves. They want to do good by their family, past, present, and future. They just want to make a difference in their lives. And it really sucks when they can't afford it and they really want it. But you know what sucks more? Every single month when I would open up my commission tracker and bring my payment plans across, seeing the drop off, seeing, people that I've closed on payment plans or even financing upfront payments, dropping off, not hitting their goals and not succeeding. And maybe I'm just soft, that is potentially a very real truth. And maybe they didn't put in the work, but I've seen people come in, put in the work, send me messages on what they're doing and still not get the result. And it kind of hurts, it hurt me. I had countless times where people would call me panicking, they can't afford it, they need X, Y, and Z. And, it was my job and I was trained to keep them in. And I was really good at that. And over time, it just started to eat away at me a little bit. And I've just have a little bit of a different perspective on the coaching space as a whole. Now, I'm going to caveat all of this with the fact that I very well may go and get another closing role to get more experience, or continue working in sales to get more experience to add to my vision, which I'll get to in a second. But specifically for EasyGrow now, I'm not sure if it's the fact that it's around the appointment side or whatever it is, it was just starting to eat away at me a little bit. And, the world is getting harder. It is harder to make money online. It is harder to afford things. The economy is in a relatively bad place right now. I watch this guy on YouTube called Gary Economics, and he's constantly preaching about the wealth disparity between the middle class, the upper class, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, I can feel that myself in my daily life, and I'm very fortunate that I come from a good family who's got some money, and I'm probably going to be okay regardless of what kind of happens. But it feels to me that I've come to the point where, if I can, I should try and make a difference. I should try and be different and separate myself and actually help the people that I spoke to. Now, the coaching space is getting quite saturated. There's a lot of offers now. A lot of them aren't very good. A lot of people are getting burnt in the past. Countless times have I reframed people over burnt in the past objections from a shitty program that got as many people in as it could and then just never updated it. And again, EasyGrow is not this. EasyGrow is good. So that's definitely one aspect. But I'm talking about the coaching space as a whole. There's a lot of programs now that are, that rode the wave of COVID and people being at home, and they jumped into coaching. They're not experts and they're charging high ticket. They've got some sales skills or enough urgency from their prospect to make a big investment. And what happens is that person doesn't make any money and they're flat on their face. I've spoken to people who've spent $50,000, $60,000 on coaching and it just hasn't worked. And yes, it's on them to a degree and it's their responsibility, but what if there was a way to deliver the information in a way that was so affordable? Now, I've kind of started to see the information or the course side of things as maybe not as valuable as these things are being priced at. Is a course really worth 10K? Now, the coaching aspect does make a big difference, but then you've got the group coaching versus one-on-one, the personalization, all objections that I've been trained to get around, but I've started to maybe believe them a little bit. And something that shifted my mindset a lot in the last week or so is through making these videos, I just out of nowhere, a client, a prospect came to me, found my videos, messaged me on LinkedIn, and we booked a call. And because I know how to sell, I closed my first one-on-one coaching deal. Now, in terms of, cost, if one-on-one coaching, in my opinion, is actually the one thing that is worth the money, because that person is trading their time to give you something. And time is the only non-renewable resource that we have. And even as a closing role, obviously I had some time freedom, but I really didn't. I was basically just working a 9 to 5 almost, and I had more control over my income than a 9 to 5, but, it started to eat away at me. I set out on this journey to Europe and like a lot of us, we just want to control our time. And the only way to control your time is to be your own boss. So if you're giving your time to someone on a one-on-one basis, then yeah, you can charge as much as you think you're worth, right? So I closed that client, and within the first week, she has closed 2 paid deals. She was barely closing free trials. She had a 20% close rate on free trials. And we've already got her last 2 calls to close with money upfront on the call. That makes a big difference to someone. Now, the information that I've taught her, we haven't even really gone into the coaching and the feedback and everything. That information I taught her, I could easily package into a course. So this is kind of the vision. What if there was someone out there who built a program and made it $100 a month, but was as good as EasyGrow or as good as the content in 7th level? Coaching aside, I'm going to remove the coaching call aspect for a second, but how many people could I help, or could this person help if it was that much money? Now, why $100 a month? Well, personally, I don't have any income right now, so I do want to make a bit of money, obviously, to survive. Now, I am planning on actually maybe, going and working in another company to continue to get more experience to add back to my vision. Like, what if there is a world where any single person that wanted to could learn a sales process at a very, very high level for as much as it costs to run Go High Level? Now, I use that example and that analogy because I've spoke to thousands and thousands of people who don't have any money to rub together, and they are using Go High Level. They've got no clients, but they're spending all their day on Go High Level learning the software. I've been there myself, so there's no bad blood. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing because I did that for months and months and months, but it feels like this is an amount of money that will be able to help everyone. So anyone who wants to learn sales at an actually high level can learn sales. Now, I am not the best sales rep in the world. Absolutely not. However, I've been trained by some of the best, and I've worked in a company that does it at such a high level. Like, I definitely have some information that can work and help other people. Now, you could argue, why don't I make it for free? Am I being hypocritical? I mean, yeah, look, I'll be honest. Yeah, I would like to make some money from the course so I can support myself. Now, I actually don't want to be, from where I'm sitting right now, I don't necessarily want to be the guy who makes all of his, millions from selling courses. I think I would much rather, get more experience and build a business that actually serves the world and the community on a different scale. I have some ideas about that. But that's kind of where I'm at. So I've left EasyGrow. The high ticket space is definitely changing. There's definitely a lot more bad courses out there. There's a lack of expertise and people selling things for a certain amount of money and creating urgency. But I think that is going to shift because the way the world is going, and this has been confirmed by a few sources in the space that are very high up, things are getting harder, and sales are going down, and people are going to be struggling more. So in the time now where people are going to be struggling more to afford things but still want to learn the skills and the processes, maybe it is my opportunity to build a really good course and help people. Now, this is truly going to be something that I do and continue to do. So anything I learn over the next whatever years, selling and working in other companies or building my own thing, I will put into that program and I will never increase the price. I am making a promise right now that I refuse, no matter what, to increase the price of the content that I put in that community. And I think that is the right thing to do. And I never really thought of myself as like the right thing to do kind of guy. To be honest, I've always been a little selfish. And I've always been a little bit like singular focus on my future and myself. But the more calls I took and the longer I spent in this industry, the more I kind of realized the more I help, like the more stuff I can give away to help people, like the better I will probably do. And like the low ticket courses now, they're low ticket courses. There's this weird like mindset that I can see on YouTube where it's like value and price are really like disjointed. Like if you're going to charge, or they're too aligned almost. Like if you're going to charge $50 a month for your course, well, you're only going to provide $50 a month worth of value, or you're going to get people in on a low ticket and then try and sell them to the inner circle. And all this sort of stuff, 7th level, they get people in, they sell to the inner circle, which is 25K. And yeah, I'm sure it's absolutely fantastic and it really, really helps people. But, what if people could have that information for $100 a month? Imagine how many people we could help and how many people that program would help. So that's kind of where I'm at. And another great thing as well, now that I'm no longer in EasyGrow, is I actually can start to make a lot more videos and I'm no longer sort of handcuffed by what I was allowed to post. So I'm going to obviously provide some free value and some good content around sales processes. And how I'm going to do it is I'm going to build the program and then basically show you guys exactly what I'm putting in it as I build it. So there's going to be no hidden secrets, nothing. It's just like, this is literally what I'm doing. And if I build it and I get one person in, whatever, I'm just going to leave it there, let it sit and let it grow, because I can go and make money somewhere else. I know I can do that. I can close somewhere else, I can get an SDR role, I can do one-on-one coaching, whatever. That's fine. But this thing, I truly believe, like if I did it properly, it could really, really impact a lot of people that I once was. And I think that's the thing that sits with me the most and why I care so much, because a lot of the people that make a lot of money now, this is going to be maybe a big call, but my opinion is all the people that kind of, they get in, they have some success, they make some money, it really alters the way they see themselves in the world. And I'm actually pulling this from people I spoke to who were doing, who were successful and doing 50, 100K a month, because I've obviously spoken to those people. And more on the coaching side, the guys you see on YouTube, which is why I think Hormozi does so well, because he really seems to remember clearly who he was and how he felt at the time when he wasn't new, and why he wants to help so much and give so much value to people. And that's what I've tried to do a lot. When I think about being a parent, I hold really close to myself how I felt when I was with my family and how I was raised and how that affected me. And I promised I would never forget that. And maybe that's influenced the way my brain works, but I really, really remember those first few months in Berlin when I was like literally crying myself to sleep because I'd invested this money and I wasn't sure if it was going to work, and I was struggling, and I just wanted to do better for myself and achieve things for my family and provide for my future kids. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. So let's just make an outlet for that, And I think the sales thing is a big thing now. There's a lot of information on the internet about how to book appointments. There's a lot of free systems, AI is coming in, but sales is that next step. It's a massive leverage point now. People don't want to be sold by AI. In my opinion, they want to be sold by a person. AI's ability to book appointments is really high, but it's closing deals, I don't think it's quite there yet. So if you can close deals effectively, you're gonna make money. And it's a good lifelong skill to have. I mean, I feel very, very fortunate that I know how to sell now for the rest of my life. And that's gonna, leverage a lot for me moving forward. So that's the plan. That's why I left, and that's what I've realized. And if that sounds interesting to you, you can subscribe, and I'll be posting, hopefully every other day or at least a couple times a week about what I've been doing and what I've been, working on. I'm going to do my very best to get it out there as quick as possible. So yeah, that's what that's going to look like. So I hope you guys think that's good. I really hope that I can make a difference to a lot of people. If anyone has any questions, you can message me on LinkedIn or anything like that. I'd be more than happy to help. Because I want to take some more responsibility for the success of others, because just in this really small sample size of this one client that I have, just in the last couple of weeks, the feeling that you get from genuinely helping someone else succeed is just, it's amazing. And it's been a wonderful thing for me. And I just want to act like the person I want to be. And I think this is the first step. So that's the plan. That's why I left. And yeah, I'm going to start to build it probably today. And we can see where we can take this. And like I said, I promise I will never increase the price. I might even lower it. So yeah, that's what it's going to look like, guys. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one.